Hi everyone, welcome to the IoT Hero Show. We are in Germany at the Platform Industry 4.0 and the IIC IoT event, and with me I have
Greg Petroff from General Electric.
John Tuccillo from Schneider Electric.
Great. Guys, you guys are on the steering committee, if I'm right, of the IIC. So let me start by asking, what is the IIC?
Well, it stands for the Industrial Internet Consortium. It is a global body of companies, small to large, that are really focused on developing and bringing to market solutions that would benefit from IoT technology.
Okay. And John, why is it needed?
Well, it's actually very broad. So the IIC works to ensure that we create a forum where multiple stakeholders can come together. So you might have many regional stakeholders, such as here in Germany, the Industrie 4.0. You have stakeholders in China, with China 2025, in France with Industry of the Future. And what IIC does is it creates a forum from which people can come to the table, exchange ideas, do joint projects such as in R&D or in testbeds and use cases to make things practical, and then collectively try to advance the opportunities that IoT affords.
So am I right in thinking it's more a technical organization than a lobbying one?
Oh, it's definitely not a lobbying one. Definitely not. But what it does is technology is at the heart of what we do. So that's why you bring together all these different test cases, because what they do is they give us an opportunity to challenge very pragmatic examples of how interoperable technology can deliver things. But that's not all there is. That's when it becomes practical, that's when it becomes usable. But to enable that to happen is where the other elements come in play. So that's why we engage with governments, that's why we engage in the business community, academia, because it's not purely a technological opportunity, it's really a whole new business model.
Okay. Can you explain to me the testbed model?
Yeah, well, testbeds are basically an idea that takes a set of technologies and tests them on a particular use case. And the reason why we do it is to advocate that these technologies are ready, that they're robust, that we can learn things along the way. One of the things that we have in this marketplace is, over the last 5 years, there have been a series of technologies that are enabling us to do industrial level IoT. But customers really haven't discerned yet whether it's valuable to them or whether it's ready for prime time. So the test beds are an opportunity for the member groups to participate, co-create together, and demonstrate the viability of the technology at one point, to learn from those test cases, and then share that information with the community at large, so that as a community we can learn and grow faster to take on the market and give opportunities for our customers.
That's the key part. What Greg just said is key, is that everything that we do jointly, we make it freely available to everyone. So this collaborative effort, people enter into it knowing that the net result of it is being made to the global community.
So we're talking a lot more collaborative than competitive between companies.
Certainly.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, there'll be plenty of opportunity for us to compete with each other, but the space is so large, and the opportunity to sort of transform not only business, but the things that we provide the citizenry of the world, how infrastructure is operated, how healthcare is delivered, how clean water is created. There's just a substantive change that can happen with these technologies, and no one's really thinking about those big ideas, and this is an organization where those conversations happen. Earlier you were talking about, is it only a technical organization? John sort of mentioned we do other things. I mean, this is an organization that's looking at business model innovation. It's looking at how to help governments understand this so they can make good decisions around it. It's about building these bridges between companies to understand how they can work together and collaborate more effectively. And that's kind of the premise behind it. And the thing that's really interesting is it is really a global organization. I mean, we have people in active membership from every continent, and from large companies all the way down to very small companies as well.
Okay. What is the model for membership?
By model, you mean how do you join?
Yeah.
So anybody can join the IIC. It's very easy to get onto the website, download the application, but we have so many different tiers of membership. An individual contributor right up through a large corporation, pretty much everything in between has an opportunity to come to the table.
Okay. The IoT is very much a nascent area right now. What are the main barriers to growth, do you think? And what are the things that are going to kick it forward?
Behavior. one of the things we talk about is that in the end, if we're focused on the net result, we're focused on the value created through the interoperability of systems, and how do things shake hands. It all comes down to how are you creating value in the intended area. Greg mentioned some of the industry areas. You've got agriculture, healthcare, you've got manufacturing, you've got transportation. And as we focus on those areas, we recognize that there are barriers sometimes in the form of legacy thinking, legacy business models, legacy procurement models, legacy application models. So the thinking itself is really where you need to make some of the fundamental changes. Be willing to really embrace the disruption because the net result is there right in front of us.
I think there's one other aspect I'd add to what John just said, which is organizations don't have, their talent doesn't really understand this yet. So there's a transformation that needs to occur around getting people who understand the new tech stack, but then understand the business models that can be enabled by the new tech stack, and then have the willingness to sort of explore those outcomes. And I kind of likened it to if you have 20 years of experience in building software, it's no longer useful anymore because you wouldn't build the same things with this new tech stack and new technologies, right? So it's a new kind of cooking, and you have to learn how to cook with it. And no one knows what kind of meals to make with it yet. So a big part of the test beds and this community as a whole is to actually create examples to help people understand how valuable it is, make it tangible, create artifacts that you can look at and demonstrate the real possibilities of it. Because otherwise it ends up being an academic conversation. And you don't want it to be. You want it to actually start becoming real, right? And so I think that's where we are right now. I think there's a lot of work going on with organizations to help their people become more savvy and literate in this space. And I personally think that's one of the barriers right now. Until we have more people who have these kinds of skills, it's going to be slow going at first.
Interesting. And what are the opportunities out there, do you think, for companies?
Well, certainly there's huge opportunities in terms of changing your business model, right? You can move from selling a thing to selling a service, right? So instead of selling an elevator, you sell rides in the elevator as a service. You can change how you deploy your infrastructure. I think one of the most exciting things around the industrial internet is that you can arbitrage your assets, right? So you can start to think about their future behavior because you have all this incredible analytics on their current behavior. And from that, you can opportunistically use your infrastructure towards market conditions. And you couldn't do that before. You sort of had to wait for a business cycle to complete before you might change how you behave in the marketplace. With these kinds of technologies, you can look at how you're operating in the moment and take advantage of an opportunity or address something that maybe that you have to deal with from a business condition standpoint more facilely. And I think that's going to help us, whether you're a public entity or organization, you're going to be able to deploy your infrastructure in ways that are much more resilient.
Anything to add, John?
Well, I really like the analogy Greg put out there from the change the recipe, what's the meal you're going to eat. So if I was thinking at the end, it's how do we help people come to the table?
Right.
All right. Just a continuing analogy. It was really good.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to come to the table, then you're going to have to be prepared to stay in your legacy way of doing things, while those who come to the table are really going to take advantage of the opportunity.
Fantastic.
That was a really good analogy.
Well, that was a nice ad too.
That's
I
good.
like that.
And the people who don't come to the table are malnourished.
That's right.
All right. Thanks a million, guys. Thanks for talking to us today.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Thanks.